Welcome, y'all, in Power. You know the man. I'm bringing you the best of the best. This is another good one that y'all need to listen to. Hear his story. Hear what he's planning on doing. Again, these questions don't come from me. I asked the sheriff deputies, faculty, staff, administrators to send me questions to ask. But let me introduce this young man that I have next to me. So, all right, first of all, his name is Edwin Shorty Jr., man. He's born and raised in the city of New Orleans. He went to Southern University Law School, and he graduated in 2003.
2002.
2002?
Yeah.
All right, 2002.
Got admitted to the bar in 2003.
Come on.
Yeah.
All right. And then he was the first black elected constable.
Yes, sir.
That's huge. That's history.
Thank you, Obama. That was the Obama wave.
Listen, so man, I'm pleased that you allowed me to interview you. Honestly, I appreciate it. I think my followers are excited about this as well because when I asked for questions, they came pretty quickly.
Oh, awesome!
Right?
Awesome.
So we're gonna get into it. No further ado, because I know you're a busy man. All right. So the first question from a deputy was, when elected as sheriff, are you planning to clean house and remove the corrupt staff, including captains, sergeants, and lieutenants?
Well, I think it's important to look at the performance of everybody who's there. And you're going to measure each person to see, well, one, what are you doing? Are you effective at that particular job? And should you stay with this organization? I mean, given what's going on now, I would hope that they've started that process already, because obviously there's some systemic failures.
Yeah.
And at the time that after an election, maybe some of those people will have been moved out. But I think anyone coming into a position like that has got to look at the leadership and determine if they've got the proper people there, or if you want to go in a different direction.
Yeah, definitely a lot of failures, and I think they're going through that now to find out what happened and what they're planning on doing when it comes down to upper management. And I think that's what they're asking. It's so much going on.
Yeah.
Back there, and the planning on cleaning house. I guess they expect you to come in and say everybody, but that's not really how it works.
You don't want to do that because you don't know if that's almost like Elon Musk and Doge.
Yeah.
You just start getting rid of people, and then you get rid of good people.
Yeah.
So you want to do, for lack of a better term, a performance evaluation.
For sure.
To see, well, what have you been doing, and are you good at it?
Yeah.
And if you're good at it, I want to continue to work with you. But if you're not good at it, we want you to find another home.
That's real.
Yeah.
I think. All right. Listen, I appreciate that answer. The next question is this: how will you address the safety of staff and the inmates with so many weapons being found daily inside of the institution? Will you make that a priority?
Well, yes, that has to be a priority. And I think one of the first things you do, and it seems like it's obvious that they have not been doing this, is to do periodic shakedowns. If you're doing periodic shakedowns, then you're going to find out if there are weapons in there or if there are tools in there. Look, there had to have been something in there because they didn't shoot through the wall.
That's a fact.
So something had to be there to allow them to move the items that they were able to move, to break through the sheetrock and the plaster that they were able to get through. So if you periodically shake the inmates down, that's good for everyone's safety. That's good for the deputy's safety in that they're not moving people around who've got weapons. That's good for the inmate's safety so they're not living with people who've got shanks or other weapons that they can harm each other with.
Yeah, I heard of they did a shakedown maybe a month ago now because it's been some time. They shook down one pod. They found 27 knives.
So at the point that you do a shakedown like that and you find that many weapons, you've got to figure out how are they getting access to these weapons? Who is bringing the weapons in? And that's another investigation. And when people who work for you find out that you are serious about these investigations, that you're going to charge people for bringing in these weapons, then it's going to stop. You're never going to get it to stop completely, but you're going to curtail it significantly.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think you could ever stop it, but you could definitely, like you said, curb it to
Correct.
A minimum.
Yes.
And 27 shanks is not a minimum by far.
No, so that makes me wonder, look, we're talking about a city jail. It's not like Angola where there's a metal shop. How are you getting access to this? Where's it coming from? Somebody's got to be bringing it in, because you're not taking pieces of the facility and making weapons. And if you are, how are we not noticing that you're doing that?
Yeah.
So obviously there's some failures there that need to be addressed. And that's a failure of day-to-day leadership to say, hey, we're going to investigate, we're going to do shakedowns, and then we're going to see where these weapons coming from.
Yeah. Awesome. Listen, y'all heard it. I mean, it only makes sense. Daily shakedowns, finding these objects. When they find the object, understanding what it is. You can see what it is. If it's a part of a door, you can see it's a part of a door. Correct. And that's basically what you're saying. So it shouldn't be too difficult for that. All right. So another question. And this question is, how do you think you can make OPSO a respectable department? They feel like they're looked down upon through NOPD or state police and maybe the constable's office. Different officers or deputies look down on them because of there. So they want to be respectable. So do you have any?
They are a respectable office, but they've been beat down. They've been beat down by leadership that doesn't value them, that talks about instead of inmates, we've got residents. That takes away their pride in their job. And once you instill that pride back into them, other folks will see them and that pride resonates. Because one, we're not just talking about the good things that we can do in the prison. We're talking about, hey, I need this tax increase so that I give my people a raise, so that they can feed their families, so they can provide for their families. So once you give that person a living wage and bring their numbers up, because I know what they're making now, they're making in the $30-some thousand range, high 30s. But once you give them an opportunity to make more, and if you can't get it done with tax increases or whatever you're doing with the city council, if you give them an opportunity to go out there and make that extra money like everybody else has the opportunity to do when they've got when they're licensed. And you can do those details. For sure, you can do those details. And what I think what we've done in the sheriff's office, they've been so nervous because they're shorthanded that they've taken away some of the ability to do the details. Well, when you take that away, they're beaten down. Because I've done all the training, I've done everything I needed to do. I'm trying to make a little extra hustle like everybody wants to do, and you take that opportunity away from me. In a city where there's nonstop special events.
All day.
Non-stop special events, Mardi Gras, Essence Fest,
always a French Quarter. There's just so much.
NFL games, and NOPD's not staffed up enough to handle all that, so they rely on other agencies. Well, you got to make sure that your people can eat at the table with everybody else. That makes a difference.
It makes it morale, right? That's a morale booster. Paying them what they need to be paid, and then allowing them to make the extra money to provide for their family.
Correct.
Yeah. Listen, that's all they need, right? And the training.
If you train folks up and they feel confident, those things become almost reflexive, muscle memory. They understand exactly what they've got to do. Then the more training you've got, the better, and the more confident the officers are. And look, when you've got a confident officer, everybody's seen it. If you get pulled over by somebody who's confident,
different.
It's an easy going operation.
Different.
Somebody who's nervous, scared, then that's dangerous
for everybody.
But when you've got a confident officer who understands that he can protect himself, that he's here to protect and serve, then that is a non-confrontational exchange.
That's a fact. Listen, I'm gonna stop you right there. That's I appreciate you for answering these questions for these deputies, because they really want to know. So this one is a little bit different. A deputy want to ask, will deputies make rounds in the pipe chasing? So I'm guessing when I got the question, it's what we kind of saw on the media was how there's a cell or a pod, and then behind that through a wall there's pipes and things like that. Will you require, because from what this person said, they don't do rounds.
So what I would tell you is, until I was in there and saw the need, I wouldn't commit to that. I would think that we can do some of that through electronic monitoring. Because if there is an area of the facility that no one should be in, that should be a very easy place to electronically monitor, where we can put certain sensors there and say, okay, when maintenance needs to go in there, then we can turn the alarms off. When maintenance isn't there, we turn the alarms on and nobody should be there. Just like I thought it was odd that a lot of people have it at their homes now. You got the Ring camera, you got all this stuff. And I know at my house, somebody's cutting the grass, the camera in the back's beeping, the camera in the front's beeping, all the cameras are beeping. So you mean to tell me at the jail facility, when we are looking at certain areas of the facility where we know no one should be in the evening,
correct,
why do we not have electronic monitoring or alarms to go off to say, hey, people are climbing this fence.
Yeah.
People are going to an area where we know they shouldn't be.
Nobody should be there.
And we don't have any electronic monitoring to alert us that so many things had to go wrong for you to be able to get to the wall to be able to escape, right?
For sure.
Okay, so all of those things go out, but you have no fail-safe to be able to check and monitor that somebody is in an area and leaving the facility.
Went through a door that nobody's supposed to go out of except for, I think, maintenance or somebody.
Correct.
I mean, they had nothing.
So to some degree, I don't know if you're going to have deputies doing rounds in areas that should not be monitored at all. Right. And if that can be done electronically, you want to do that electronically, because the more people you have on the tiers watching the inmates, the safer for everyone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. I didn't even think about electronic monitoring when I was like, okay, maybe it's send a deputy through, but that only makes more sense. And you saving a body.
Yeah, you save the body. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. All right. Next question is this: how would you attract qualified and competent deputies? We have a shortage around, the U.S. right now with deputies and officers. People wanting to do that job. I mean, a lot of people don't. A lot of people want to, I guess, be home and do an office job or a home job, right? That's kind of the new thing. But so how could you attract qualified deputies to come work for you?
Well, I think what you've got to do is figure out what people are looking for that makes it attractive to them. I'll give you an example. So if you have a person with a young family and they're saying, I could do this job, but maybe I need some deal to help out with childcare. Maybe the solution is to say, I'm going to put a nursery at the facility for some of my deputies. Maybe it's flex hours, because when I worked there and you did a 12-hour shift from 5:30 to 5:30 or 6:30 to 6:30, what does that mean to someone with young kids where they're saying, well, I've got to go to work before my child goes to school? So do you allow some flex hours to say, for those people who need it, I'm going to let you come in later and stay later, or I'm going to do something to work with you within to work out the hours. So you have to be flexible and decide what you're going to do to make it attractive to folks. Just like at some of these corporations, they'll put a gym in the facility.
Oh, for sure.
People like that.
Absolutely.
All right, I got a gym at my job. I can work out here. This is a good place. All right, so you figure out those things that are attractive to folks. When I was there, I worked under a special program for college students. I loved it as a college student. A bunch of my friends who were at Southern with me also worked there as college students. So it was a great job for college students because you're going at it all day in class. You learn it all day. And then, all right, here's a job where I could sit. And it's pretty, depending on the facility you're in, you're pretty boxed in.
Sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you're there for a certain defined period of time. And that works out for a college student. The other people that I worked with, they had an About Face program. And they had military folks who were stationed here, active duty and reservists, and they wanted that extra hustle because, all right, I'm active duty or I'm reserve. How do I pick up extra money? What works for me? What's flexible for me? I can work at the jail. I'm already trained. Now you're just giving them additional corrections officer training because they've gone through basic. Yep. So they've got that physical fitness part of it. You teach them some constitutional policing and some corrections training, and they're good to go.
What year you was at the Audiensburg Sheriff's Office?
Oh, I was an undergrad between 95 and 99.
Okay.
So in there.
Yeah. All right, man. Yeah, that's good. All right, my next question.
For anybody curious, Templeman 1 and 2. Templeman 1 and 2.
That's the old.
That's the old.
So I was. I mean, you know, I ain't want to say my age or nothing, but I was what 5, 6. All right. Never mind. All right. The next question is this: will you eliminate high-ranking employees who are holding positions as captains, chiefs, or colonels that are actually civilian employees with no law enforcement experience, and place people that has the law enforcement experience in those positions? That was a lot, but
no, it's fine. I think you look at your organizational chart and see what the person is doing. I'll give you an example.
Mm-hmm.
If you're talking about the warden of a facility, the warden of the facility has got to have some law enforcement experience.
Please.
You know, that kind of goes without saying. If you're talking about the director of human resources, the director of human resources probably does not need to have law enforcement experience. Right. Your CAO does not need to have law enforcement experience. Right. They need to be a good accountant. Right. Your person who's over internal affairs needs to have internal affairs experience. So depending on the position determines what you need.
Okay.
And so I wouldn't necessarily say that some of these folks are gone or that some of these positions require law enforcement experience, but to the degree that you need law enforcement experience, you should have law enforcement experience. But for some of those administrative positions, law enforcement experience may not be a necessity.
Yeah, I think, and I think, you know, when I was reading some of these questions, it just seems like they're speaking from what they see or what they think that's going on now, right? That's what it seems like.
Well, it looks to me like people see that folks have been promoted, mm-hmm. and other people who've been working there for years have not been promoted, and they're wondering, why are you passing me up? Yeah. Why am I dedicating my life to you, and you just ignore me? And that's a valid concern that people have when they've been working for an institution for a number of years. That breeds resentment. That lowers morale. Yeah. You've gotta promote from within to make sure that people say, hey man, there's room for advancement at this place.
And I think that goes right into the next question. So we're gonna get straight into the next question is there are many high paying positions that were made up for people. We're talking about friends of friends, etc. Will you reevaluate their positions? And if the position is not needed, will you give that pay the high paying positions to the deputies?
Yes, that's an easy one. You look at your organizational chart and you figure out, do I need this position?
Yeah.
Or do I have am I top heavy? That's the easiest way to say it. I'm top heavy. I got a lot of management.
That makes sense. Yeah,
Why do I have all this management? And when you can eliminate those positions and streamline, you do that. Because if you've got 1,400 inmates, I'd really have to look at the organizational chart, see what everybody's getting paid, see what their job positions are, and yes, you're not going to have these redundancies. I get what they're getting at, because sometimes I look at the number of people surrounding and the sheriff, and I go, that's a lot of people.
You're not the first person that mentioned that.
It's a lot of people. We're shorthanded. You got a lot of people with you. You roll deep.
Listen, you're not the first person that said that. It's so many people, like 5 or 6 people you rolling with.
It's rolling deep.
And you know, that's a thing. I know they have different people that roll in. You know, it's her guard, it's her social media, it's like all these people that are, you know, filming and doing different things.
But you got to be cognizant of things like that when you roll that deep, mm-hmm. and then you say, I'm severely shorthanded.
Gotcha.
People are looking at that. They go that it's not 2 and 2 isn't adding up for me.
Gotcha. That makes sense. All right. Cool. All right. The next question kind of goes with that. Not really, but the next question is: would there be favoritism to employees based on sexual orientation or gender?
Wow.
Just want to put this out there.
Wow.
This is not questions from me. This is questions from the OPSO employees.
Let's put this out there. I did not ask him to ask that.
Oh, no. Listen, all these questions, because I don't want to be biased. I don't want to ask stuff that's in my head.
Yeah.
This is coming from them. So I let it go.
No, that's a very interesting question. And it suggests to me that there's a belief that there is currently bias.
Correct.
And I think I would be an equal opportunity employer, mm-hmm. Regardless of sexual orientation or race or gender. So you're not going to show favoritism either way. That I would hope that's not what's going on, and I'll leave it at that.
I love it. All right. Many deputies feel discouraged because of how they're being treated by the upper rank. Some of the leaders stay in the positions without any real responsibility, blocking chances for others to move up. How would you fix this and show deputies that they have real opportunity for advancement?
I think you've got to look at performance. And again, back to your organizational chart. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are your duties? You're not going to stay in a position with no duties. We called it skating back in the day.
Okay.
It was a skating.
Okay.
You had a position, you didn't do anything. You come to work, you don't have anything to do. Mm-hmm. Well, look, it's one thing to say that somebody's skating when the facility is fully manned and everything's running smooth.
Right.
It's another thing to say you're skating when we're having escapes, we're having low morale, we're short on equipment, we're short on people, and now you want to skate? No, you can't. You can't do that. We've got to have everybody pulling in the same direction and doing things for the betterment of the organization.
Right.
So you've got to look at every position. You've got to look at every individual and determine, do they add value? And if they do not add value, they have to leave.
Just like that.
Yes.
I think, man, based on this question, when I read it, I'm just like the same way. I'm like, okay, it's people that want to advance, right? People that want to do better. They want to advance, but they have these people that's been in there for 30 years or 35 years. They're stuck there.
I'll give you an instance. I have deputies who work for me at the constable's office who have gone to mounted training. Mm-hmm. I don't have any horses, but they wanted to get the training.
Okay. I was in mounted, so I get it.
They wanted to do that. Mm-hmm. They have done other trainings because they have a passion for law enforcement. People who are in law enforcement have a passion for it. Yeah. And to the degree that I can feed into that I can foster that, I'm down with it. You want to do mounted, go do mounted. If there's something else that you want to do, you want to go train on the boats with the harbor people, go train on the boats. I am for that. If you want to learn how to operate the drones, dude, I have no problem with that. Because every skill that you achieve makes you more marketable, makes me value you more.
Sure.
It makes you a better law enforcement officer. And if you got all that training and you felt like you had reached your capacity with me and you wanted to go to another agency, go with my blessing. Because I always want people to achieve. And if you find something that fits you better and serves your family better, I'm all for that. And if we can help you get training that allows you to foster that urge that you've got to learn something new, then go do it.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Chief Ferg, because when I was in police officer in his district, I definitely went to mountain training. I came back and I said, I want to go to SWAT training. He was like, go. I was like, dang, all right, boom. Went to that. And then SWAT called. Was like, SWAT, I want to go. Yeah. Like, so I respect that. I respect that from a leader who doesn't try to hold their people back, because there are people out there that do that as well, right?
No, you shine, I shine.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
Listen, and that I think that's what the sheriff's office needs.
Yeah, you shine, I shine. Go do what you need to do. The more training, I want you to travel and get some training. You want to get some specialized training? I'm for it. If we can afford to do it, if we've got the ability to let you do it, you're going to do it.
And bring it back. Bring it
back. Yeah.
All right, man. I love that answer. I ain't going to lie to you. All right, so our next question is, it says right now, OPSO are just hiring anybody. They're doing background checks that's not thorough, and they just trying to get bodies inside of the jail. What will you do to make sure that there is quality or qualified deputies in the jail?
I think when you have a change of leadership, you're going to get qualified bodies. When people see it and respect it and realize, one, we're not playing around. One, we're going to take care of you, and we respect you. Then they're going to want to work for that organization. Just like I've got deputies who come to me because, hey man, I'm with an organization and that organization curtailed my ability to be able to do details. And that was how I fed my family. I got a kid in college and that's how I was paying for that. And you've got to be sensitive to that.
Yeah.
And when you take that from someone, you don't leave them a choice. But once you say, hey man, open shop, I'm gonna let you make some money, you're gonna work hard for me, then they're coming. Yeah. They're coming.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right.
And
you're right.
When you fit a job to a person and you make it attractive to them, and what I'm thinking about is there were people who were courtroom deputies, and they've been courtroom deputies. And you say, you know what, I'm short in the jail. I'm going to take the courtroom deputy out of the courtroom and send the courtroom deputy to jail. They're not going to do that. They quit.
That's true. They do.
I'm not going to be in the courtroom for 15 years, have a rapport around here, understand that, and then you're going to move me somewhere where I'm not comfortable. So you've got to do what you can to put folks in positions that work for them.
Yeah, no, that's real. That's real. This is something I want to touch on. And this is the end of it, right? But something I want to touch on is I've been doing a lot of research with these escapees that are out. I've been covering it on Empower Unola. I've been doing a lot of research on protecting the people that need to be protected.
Yeah.
And something that I got a wind of, and I kind of want to ask you about it and want your perspective of what your mindset was. When it happened, I know judges felt like they was super vulnerable when we had these escaped inmates, because some of them are on trial for murder or have been sent or have been convicted of murder. What was your mindset? Because what you did was you sent your deputies over there to protect their homes. What was your mindset with that? And first of all, we definitely appreciate you doing that.
So I know most of the judges.
Okay.
And I've known them for a long time. So we talk often as friends. You know, we socialize together. So I was talking to a particular judge, and we were talking about this whole thing. And we weren't talking as elected officials. We were just talking as friends.
Right.
And the conversation was about how this particular judge found out that there had been an escape, and there had been no official communications. But what that particular individual said is, we requested additional protection from the sheriff,
right,
and the sheriff denied it. And I was kind of flabbergasted, because this is your mess up.
Yeah.
So what are we going to do? All right, we got a priority. We got to get these people back. But two things we got to do. We got to protect the victims and not allow them to be victimized again by these criminals, and protect those members of the criminal justice system whose job it is to deal with these folks, right?
Right.
So when the person said, we've asked for protection and we've been denied, I said, well, look, I've got people. I can't post a person outside your house. I don't have that kind of manpower.
Okay.
But what I can do is you can send me some addresses, and as my deputies are moving around, they'll pass by and check on your house.
Okay.
They'll pass at night. They'll pass during the day. It'll be random, so nobody will know when they're passing. They report back to me and they let me know everything's okay, just to give them some additional peace of mind to make sure that their families are okay. And I thought that was kind of shocking, because I'm not doing anything that anybody else couldn't have done who was in that position. The sheriff could have said, hey, look, I don't have the manpower to sit somebody out here, but I do have the manpower while we're out there searching. We're going to pass by each one of these houses. We're going to make sure you're okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're going to, if I've got to provide panic buttons, we can do something.
Yeah.
To kind of give you some peace of mind, because we've asked you to hold a job where your life could potentially be at risk, and you've dedicated your life to serving this community. So what can we do to protect you? Just like the victims. We ask you, if you see something, say something.
Always. So
you stepped up. You put your life at risk.
Yep.
You put the finger on somebody and you said, this person did that thing.
Right.
And then when they get out, I'm not immediately notifying you. I'm not only notifying you, I'm not sending somebody to come and pick you up.
Yeah.
That, to me, was the most I just have a real problem with that. So to the degree I could do something about that, we've done something about that.
Yeah, and I talked to a few people, and they really appreciated that. Right? They really that was a vulnerable time for them, and they really appreciated you just stepping up in that moment to do that for them.
And look, I didn't even think, it wasn't. Some people won't believe it. It had nothing to do with this campaign. It was really me talking to a friend
that jumped it off,
and my friend said, "This is crazy. I feel vulnerable."
Yeah.
Well, how can I make my friend not feel as vulnerable? And I know some of these other folks. What can I do? Would you like me to have somebody pass?
Yeah.
And some of these judges were like, "Yes, I have cases with these people
for sure." For sure.
And I felt Jason's pain when he was going.
Yeah,
nobody told me. I've asked for the life sentences for these people.
That's a fact.
And nobody's telling me anything. You basically got conked in your head when you went to work. So no, that was, we've all got. And look, aside from running against the sheriff, I think everybody in law enforcement wants to do everything we can to help her.
Absolutely.
We want to do everything that we can to get these guys back incarcerated.
Correct.
Despite what people have been saying on social media, despite the fact that they seem to be trying to make one particular person out to be a victim of the system.
Correct.
That person is a stone cold killer.
A fact.
A stone cold killer.
Yes.
And his victims deserve much more from us than trying to idealize him on social media, like, because his grandmother was murdered by a New Orleans police officer, that person deserves some particular recompense for that. For sure. I don't understand that.
Yeah, 2 murders, 2 attempt murders.
I have good information that it's more than that.
Right.
If you got convicted of 2, you did more than 2.
Sure. I agree.
And how we decide that, this guy's a victim of the system, his grandmother was killed 3 years before he was born.
Wasn't even born.
What? How? So now we're okay with him victimizing half the city? Yeah. So I don't understand that. And sometimes we can love people and we can not want folks to be harmed, but we got to be realistic about some folks who have decided to throw their lives away.
And take other lives.
And victimize other families.
Yep.
And there's no way you can justify any of that.
And listen, if y'all made it this far, I'm sure you did, because this was an exciting interview, dropped a lot of gems for everybody. Look into his campaign. His campaign stuff is going to be at the bottom. Please look at it. Please go visit. I'm sure if they want to volunteer, they can come to your page and volunteer.
Yes.
On Instagram and your website.
Yes.
So go volunteer. But I appreciate y'all for taking the time, and I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. All right.